Hey boys and girls, welcome back to our writer's workshop, and I'm really excited you're going to get to see my friend Riley again today. Today we're going to talk all about how we can use drama in our stories. You use drama all the time when you are playing. I want you to tap your nose if you've ever played a pretend game where you pretended that you were someone else. Maybe you were pretending that you were a zombie, or you were pretending like you were Zach Prescott. Or maybe you were pretending that you were a chef and you were cooking in a kitchen. You were using your imagination and you were acting it out, and you were adding drama and you were using motion and doing all of those things. And boys and girls, today I want to teach you that when you are telling your story, one way that you can bring it to life is by actually acting it out and telling what really happened. Boys and girls, did you actually know that when you go to the movies, someone wrote that whole story on paper? Did you know that? They wrote the whole story, the whole movie on paper. And then they had some actors. And they had the actors act out their story. That's storytelling. Just like when you go to movies, boys and girls, real authors wrote those movies. You can write movies someday. So, boys and girls, we're going to practice today how you can use acting and act out your stories to help you add details. So I want to see if you can help me act out my story. And I want to go back to the story I told you about when my little brother pushed me on the sled and I went through the snow. So a sled is a little thing that you sit on in the snow and you slide down the hill. So one snowy day, I went sledding with my brother. And so boys and girls, I can actually, as I've mentioned to you, it's just me all by myself here. So if you're at home by yourself, don't worry. You can use your fingers to act out your story. You can use your stuffed animal to act out your story. Maybe you do have a grown-up or a sibling nearby to act out your story, but you can use your fingers if you need to. So one snowy day, I went sledding with my brother. We went to the top of the hill, and my brother gave me a big push. And I went faster and faster down the hill. And I crashed, boom, into a tree. Thank you, Riley, for being my wonderful actor. So I'm acting it out. And boys and girls, you know what? I realized as I was doing the crashing into a tree, I could also talk about how my mouth went, ah, as I was going down the hill, going faster and faster. So you know what? Acting it out made me realize there was more going on. It wasn't just that we went faster and faster and I crashed. My mouth was going, and you know what? I think I even threw my hands up in the air, and I gotta act that out. So I went faster and faster down the hill, and I crashed into a tree. So as I'm acting out my story, I'm seeing other details that I can add. So boys and girls, while you're writing today, I think I'm gonna add that on my last page. I'm not gonna write, I crashed into a tree. I'm gonna add a sentence above it that says, I opened my mouth and yelled, ah, and my hands flung up into the air. So boys and girls, you can act out your story. You can act it out with a stuffed animal. You can act it out using your fingers. You can act it out with a grown-up or sibling at home. And as you act it out, if you realize there's something else you do, write it down. Add that into your story so that way it can make a picture in your reader's mind. So boys and girls, let's review our ways to bring stories to life chart. We've talked about how we can unfreeze the people, make them move, make them talk, just like we did while we were acting right now, adding that drama. We want to tell the story in small steps. And what we learned the other day, we want to bring out the inside, what they're feeling in their heart, what they're thinking in their mind. Yes, so those are all great strategies that you can use for ways to bring stories to life. Now, if you are acting out your story, like I just said, something that you might think of as other details to add. And we can use our revised questions. For example, if you are doing it with a sibling or a classmate or a partner, you can have them ask you these questions. Who? What? Where? When? How? Have them ask those questions as you're acting it out, and then you can write those details on the paper. In fact, you know what? Maybe if you're brainstorming a new story today, maybe you decide to act out the story first before you write it. Or maybe you're working on a story that you've already written and you're going to act it out and see if there's any more details that you can add. But you, friends, can add the drama and put on a show. So today, You will add drama to your stories to bring your stories to life. And I want you to remember that if you're in the class, you can sit in your seat and you can imagine and act it out with your hands and mind. If you're at home and you have the space, you can act it out. Like I said, you can use your fingers even if you don't have a stuffed animal or a grown-up or a sibling to act it out with. You want to add that drama, add everything that's going on, and write about it. Add those details to your story. So now it's your turn to go write your story. Writers go write.